owns my AI when I die? So this is an issue I've been thinking a lot about recently because we're very close to being able to create digital twins or digital replicants of ourselves as artificial intelligence algorithms, right? Just think about it. You have already a crazy profile of user data on Google, right? Google could easily have a bot that says, click and create your Google bot. You go on there, you click it, it takes all of your email history, all of your chat history, all of your search history, your entire user profile, all your data that consists of what you are in Google servers, and it makes a bot based off of that. And then you can let that bot run your business. You can let that bot respond to emails, even calls with like automated voice. Could even be your voice, right? If you have enough voice training data, calls and stuff that you can put in, and it can replicate that. And so pretty quickly you see that, we're going to have these digital versions of ourselves that are representing us in the digital world, right? Or the metaverse, or whatever you want to call it, right? I don't love that term, but in the digital world, you're going to have a digital twin. So what happens when you die, or what happens when a platform thinks that, it doesn't like you, or the government doesn't like you, right? What happens to your digital identity? I mean, obviously we understand with our physical identity, what happens, but what happens with our digital identity if Digital Will is on YouTube and on different work apps and stuff doing valuable things, valuable business activities? Like, what happens to that digital version of me, and who owns it, right? Because right now, we are pretty much giving our digital identities away to a few corporations. So Facebook, Google, Apple, pretty much all the activity that we do, like on Instagram, for example, if Instagram wants to shut down my account, my digital persona, which, may be projected to thousands of people, or, for some influencers, millions of people, they can just take that, right? They can take everything that consists of me on that platform. They pretty much own it. They sell it. They use it to make money, use it to train their algorithms. And again, like, it's just important to be aware of this stuff as we get into these increasingly complex digital worlds that are powered by artificial intelligence, because who owns what is then very important, right? When your digital identity could far outlast you, especially if you're, in some position of influence or power, right? And so when we think about a digital twin running on artificial intelligence, I think we have to start thinking about how we decentralize ownership of these digital assistants or digital twins, right? Because if AI will, if he's still operating and I die, maybe I want to give that model to my family. Maybe I want to, have a provision that says when I die, that model ceases to exist. It gets burned. The token gets burned that represents the data model, right? And so there's got to be a way to decentralize identity and access management, which, Web3 networks and various Web3 projects are experimenting with right now, right? For example, if you log into different Ethereum apps, again, there's issues with decentralization on the Ethereum network, but just for the thought experiment, if you log into Ethereum apps with your wallet, right, theoretically, you can take your digital identity, you can take your wallet from app to different places on the ecosystem, and none of the apps, none of the centralized, servers, right, own that identity. So that would be like if I could take my Google account, and that was just me, that was just a piece of data that I owned, and I could take that account and I could log into Facebook and I could log into Twitter, but I own the actual account, right? So if Twitter didn't like me, Google didn't like me, they can't change your account. Your account still exists. The only thing they can do is restrict access to their platform or their network, but they can't, maybe you even own your social graph or all the data that was captured by that account, so they really can't even do anything with that, right? And then on a higher level, if your digital twin is doing things like, again, communicating with your followers or running businesses, these platforms then don't have access to the models and to everything that consists of digital you, right, in regards to your economic activities. And they don't get to say, what if Apple wants a 30% cut of everything that my digital twin is doing in their ecosystem, right? That's crazy, but I think we're getting to a place where that could be a realistic conversation, right? So to take it one step further, we have to understand how the government and how the world sees us as human beings, how we value and how we identify or denote, what a human life is. And so you think about a human, when we are born in, most countries, you get a social security number, you're actually thought of as a corporation. And then when you die, you're a corpse, right? See the correlation in the language there. And so when you as a corporation, right, they say in the music industry, you take a deal, you maybe you sold your soul, right? I mean, think about even 4 or 5 years ago, we had Tupac performing at Coachella as a hologram, right? That wasn't artificial intelligence. And we could easily make artificial intelligence Tupac, probably already exists. But that was just, his likeness, the representation of his spirit on this earth as a human, now is captured into this corporate entity, and it can be used and monetized by the people that own that entity. So now think about how crazy it gets in the artificial intelligence realm when we have crazy powerful AI versions of ourselves that are doing all this stuff, right? How do we make sure that we're not getting a fucked up label deal when we sign into our Google account and give over all of our identity rights forever, and one of us, I blow up, I become a crazy popular YouTuber or something that has a big community, I'm really influential, and I die, or something happens and I have no control over that. That is a scary reality. That is a reality where individual sovereignty is really completely given over to the matrix, because your entire identity, everything that consists of you in the digital world where you're spending most of your time, then is controlled by, corporation. And again, it's not to say that all corporations are evil or we shouldn't work with them. No, that's not the case at all. I mean, corporations are just another model that was created by humans to organize things and build things and do cool stuff and good stuff for the world. I mean, fundamentally. But the problem is when you create a game which gives power to the things humans made, corporations, business models, etc., instead of the humans themselves, right? When we don't have control over our own identity, when we don't have control over our own thought, over our own projection of how we want to show up in the world, that becomes a scary reality. So I say all this to say we need to have a discussion around who owns our AI when we die and how we are provisioning access to and ownership of our digital versions of ourselves. And I think the easiest solution to that is to figure out the best way to provision access to the models that your AI is trained on, or the models and the identity, account that you take to different places as your digital twin, via some blockchain network where, for example, there's a ChatGPT model, right? There's just the general open source model that anyone can train their digital identity on, but the specific digital identity, the specific, digital will that becomes an AI bot, that needs to be tokenized. That model, that algorithm needs to be tokenized. It needs to be provisioned somewhere where it's very secure, where only I can access it, only I can authorize it to do stuff, and I actually own the underlying data. It's not just sitting on, one of Google's servers, so that when I die, they can do the same thing to me that the labels did to Tupac, and, use me as a corporate entity to continue producing revenue for their entity.